How do you keep intellectual property safe? In the event that your IP is stolen by idlers, catching them is difficult, indicting them is harder, and getting the stolen data back is usually impossible. In all honesty, being a little suspicious can be beneficial, since individuals truly are out to get you. This is why it's imperative for the CSO, CISO, and Chief Risk Officer, CRO, to be involved in securing IP. Consider these real life cases. An engineer regularly had lunch with a former boss now working for a rival and fancied himself a hero for gathering competitive intelligence. The information he was giving up in return caused his employer, formerly the market leader, to lose three major bids in 14 months. Immigrant scientists from Eastern Europe who were working on an American defense got unsolicited invitations from their home countries to speak at seminars or serve as paid consultants. The invitations appealed to them as scientists. They wanted to share information about their work with peers. The countries saw this kind of intelligence gathering as cheaper than research and development. Here are the minimal steps you'll need to take to keep your IP safe. Know what you've got. If all employees understand what information must be protected, they can know better how to protect it and from whom it should be protected. To do that, CSOs must be in constant communication with the executives who oversee intellectual property. Meet with the CEO, COO, and delegates from HR marketing, sales, legal services, production, and research and development at least once per quarter. Corporate leadership must work together to effectively protect IP. Prioritize it. CSOs who have been protecting IP for years recommend performing risk and cost-benefit assessment. Make a map of your company's assets and determine what data, if stolen or leaked, would cause harm to your company the most. Then consider which one of those assets are the most at risk of being stolen. Putting those two factors together should help you figure out where to best spend your protective efforts and budget. Label it. If information is confidential to your company, put a banner or a label on it that says so. If your company data is proprietary, put a note to that effect on every login screen. This seems trivial, but if you wind up in court trying to prove someone took information they weren't authorized to take, your argument won't stand up if you can't demonstrate that you made it clear that the information was protected. Lock it up. Physical and digital protection is a must. Lock the rooms where sensitive data is stored, whether it's the server farm or the musty paper archive room. Keep track of who has the keys. Use passwords and limit employee access to important databases. Employ the concept of least permissions, which means that you distribute permissions based on what an employee or executive needs to see. No more, no less. Beware of authorization creep. Educate employees. Awareness training can be effective for plowing and stopping IP theft or leaks, but only if it's targeted to the information that a specific group of employees needs to guard. When you talk in specific terms about something that engineers or scientists have invested a lot of time in, they're very attentive. As is often the case, humans are often the weakest link in the defending chain. That's why an IP protection effort that counts on firewalls and copyrights but doesn't also focus on employee awareness and training is doomed to fail. Know your tools. A growing variety of software tools are available for tracking documents and other IP data. Data loss prevention, DLP, tools are now a core component of many security suites. They not only locate sensitive documents, but also keep track of how they are being used and by whom. Take a big picture view. If someone is scanning the internal network and your intrusion detection system goes off, somebody from IT typically calls the employee who's doing the scanning and tells him to stop. The employee offers a plausible explanation, and that's the end of it. Later, the night watchman sees an employee carrying out protected documents, and his explanation is, "Oops, I didn't realize that I got it in my briefcase." Over time, the human resources group, the audit group, the individual's colleagues, and others all notice isolated incidents, but nobody puts them together and realizes that all these breaches were perpetrated by the same person. This is why communication gaps among info security and corporate security groups can be so harmful. IP protection requires connections and communication between all the corporate functions. The legal department has to play a role in IP protection. So does human resources, IT, R&D, engineering, graphic design, and so on. Apply a counterintelligence mindset. If you're spying on your own company, how would you do it? Thinking through such tactics will lead you to consider protecting phone lists, shredding the papers in the recycling bins, convening an internal council to approve your research and development scientist publications or other ideas that may prove worthwhile for your particular business. Think globally. Over the years, France, China, Latin America, and the former Soviet Union states have all developed reputations as places where industrial espionage is widely accepted, even encouraged, as a way of promoting the country's economy. Many other countries are worse. A good resource for evaluating the threat of doing business in different parts of the world is the Corruption Perceptions Index published each year by Transparency International. In 2016, the Corruption Perceptions Index ranked the following 12 countries as being perceived as the most corrupt: Somalia, South Sudan, North Korea, Syria, Yemen, Sudan, Libya, Afghanistan, Guinea-Bissau, Venezuela, Iraq, and Eritrea.